The battle for eastern Ukraine was incredibly intense and bloody this week as Russia hammered its neighbor with all manner of munitions. In Bakhmut, the most hotly contested city in the region, Wagner mercenaries fighting on behalf of Moscow raised the Wagner, not Russian flag near the center of the city. Where does the war go from here? Let me bring in my guest today, retired Admiral William McRaven. Before he retired from the military in 2014, McRaven led Special Operations Command, where he oversaw the U.S. military's most elite combat units. McRaven has another terrific new book. It is called The Wisdom of the Bullfrog, Leadership Made Simple but Not Easy. Bill, welcome.
Well, thanks, very good to be with you.
When you look at this Bakhmut situation, Zelensky had to make a very important decision, which was whether to hold the line here. A lot of people say militarily this is not significant. Why devote so much space? He did it, and he seems to have so far resisted the Russian advance. Was it worth it, or was this a lot of Ukrainian manpower sacrificed for nothing?
Yeah, I actually think it was the right decision. And again, tactically, when you look at it militarily, as you know, about a month ago, his advisors said, look, we need to do an orderly withdrawal from Bakhmut because it's just not worth the cost of the soldiers we're losing. But I think what Zelensky looked at was, look, if we lose Bakhmut, it plays into Putin's narrative that the Russians are winning. And oh, by the way, it will bolster Russian morale. It will probably unduly affect Ukrainian morale. It could also affect support from Europe and the United States. So while it is just a small tactical piece of ground, I think it has huge strategic implications. I think Zelensky understood this, and I think it was the right call.
How does Ukraine win against an enemy that, at the end of the day, is sort of many, many times bigger? The defense budget is 10 times bigger. Right. The number of people Putin can call in are so much larger.
So I think winning looks like ensuring that Russia doesn't achieve its goals. So when the invasion first started, of course, there were these, Putin's narrative was, we're going to take Kyiv, we're going to come in through Kharkiv, come up through Crimea, come in through the Donbass, and we will essentially take Ukraine. Well, when that didn't work so well, then he moved the goalposts. And now it was about, well, we're going to build the land bridge from Donbass down to Crimea. And now he is struggling to do that. So if the Ukrainians can prevent the Russians from actually building that land bridge, then I think what it does is it forces Putin once again to move the goalposts. And frankly, sooner or later, failure is going to be on the radar for everybody that's watching this. So they don't have to take back the Donbass. They don't have to take back Crimea. I know they'd like to. What they've got to do is prevent the Russians from building that land bridge. And I do think they can do that.
And do you think the key for the West is just give them all the weapons they can get?
Yeah, I'm a believer that we need to give them whatever it takes to win the war, whatever it takes for them to be successful. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about, do we, help with the Europeans and give them MiG-29s? Do we give them ATACMS for their HIMARS? I trust General Mark Milley, one of the finest officers I ever served with, and obviously Secretary Lloyd Austin. Both of these gentlemen have incredible combat experience. So if they are kind of withholding the aircraft and withholding the ATACMS, I got to believe there's a good reason for that. But I think in general, the administration has kind of managed the war pretty well. Now what they've got to do is decide whether or not they want to win the war, and all, that being the Ukrainians, helping the Ukrainians win the war.